Well, everybody, the wait is finally over. I've had so many requests to get this one, and it is finally here. A full-on, wide-body, luxury fifth wheel that's not a hauler, but has this going on. Wait till you see what's happening here. Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd down here at Brinkley in what I'm calling their Infinity Room, straight out of the Matrix, because that white wall behind me where they do their photography, you kind of lose everything behind you, but you probably don't care about that. This is the new G3250, and it is a masterpiece. I've said this before, but you've never seen anything, I think, quite like this. What they did here is they basically took their G3950, big, beautiful, giant fifth wheel toy hauler that has an awesome multi-function dedicated garage, and said, what if it didn't have a garage? What if we use the fact that the G series has a patio door in a different way, and they created a luxury patio fifth wheel over here with one of the coolest walkout wet bars that could also be perfect for like e-bike hauling or something like that, or just small kayaks. People who don't necessarily have combustion engine toys, if you don't have things like golf carts, side-by-side ATVs, but you want the big full-on luxury features with the fun function of like a patio or a grilling space or anything like that, this rig right here is one that you might want to tune into. It is a wide body design, so every room is getting the benefit of that. This has the Dexter tow assist system to give you safer handling of this big sucker. And ironically, despite being the size that it is, I think it's actually the very smallest of the Brinkley Model G series, because it doesn't have that giant dedicated garage off the back. It has things like a dual fuel generator, 800 watts of solar, 200 amp hours of lithium batteries, all factory standard, and so much more. There's no way I can do this thing justice from just a quick floor plan and a flash flyby and a couple details like tidbits on the screen over here for you. This is going to be a long video with a lot of information. I'm going to chapter mark it so you can jump around to catch whatever you're looking for here. And let me know what you think about this thing, because I think it's kind of a big time home run, but that's just my nerdy opinion. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And if you like how we get you down here early to get you the first footage of this thing in full major detail, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like our video, and let's get going, because again, we have a lot to cover today. Now, as we get started here, I want to start off the back side of this thing, since I think it's probably the action part of the RV. This is the thing that defines it as different from anything else that I've really seen out there. How it's basically a wet bar patio in a non-toy hauler. Now, again, you can use it for like kayaks and e-bikes or, you know, something like that. But not everybody needs room for a side-by-side RZR. And if you need room for a side-by-side RZR, that's fine. Pretty much all the other Model G models will take care of you there. I do also want to mention, if I sound a little off or a little brain foggier than normal, I tell you what, I discovered a good way to lose about 20 pounds of water weight real fast is to get food poisoning at my niece's pizza party at the local pizza parlor and arcade place. I'm currently second day recovering from that, and I'm feeling much, much better today, but I am not 100%. I will also mention this video is very long, as most of my videos, and especially my Brinkley videos, tend to be. So, it is a good idea to grab some popcorn right now, but I will also chapter mark this video to make it easier for you to be able to navigate around, to kind of dive into the things that are most interesting to you. Now, you may have noticed how I walked up a side door to get in here. I didn't use rear steps. The RV includes them. It has steps that can attach to the rear patio, sticking off the back of it, factory included. I personally prefer a side access just because this thing's already long enough, and it's already not the longest G toy hauler. I like it when you don't have to make your campsite longer than it necessarily has to be. Something I'm just kind of keying into, I always forget to talk about this. The double taillights for safety is nice. The fact that they're mounted up higher actually makes them safer, because when you snap to attention while driving, your head tends to snap up, not down, to look for danger, you know, Will Robinson. So the fact that the taillights are mounted higher, and there's two of them, is handy. In typical Brinkley fashion, they could never do something just simple or obvious. They had to add every possible crazy max function they could possibly think into on this. So back here in this Three Seasons patio room, we have no sort of carpeted flooring, and you may notice how it's actually a slight step down from the main decking. That's because, like a lot of toy haulers, you have a thicker subfloor construction in your main living area that has a heavier insulation rating running through it that is not typically possible in the back end of this because we have a fuel cell below us. The thing, though, is they actually do still have a small hollow pocket built into this floor back here that is still forced air heated, which is something very few other hauler brands, actually I'm not really aware of other hauler brands doing. Now, both on these steps and in the main steps in the living room, you'll see these little shoe trays sticking out. They don't normally stick out, actually, just to kind of help demonstrate that. Here's what you would normally see on these. It's kind of cool because you can just toe push them away and then toe pull them out when it's crock o'clock. So you're not tripping on them. I just want you to know they're not tripping hazards. But if you see these black lines on the floor, that's basically a rubber insert inside a tie-down system where there's tie-downs somewhere between the size of like a nickel and a quarter, and there's a ton of them. You can tie something down anywhere you want in here. So if you are hauling, not even, let's say you're hauling a big grill and not even an e-bike or something like that, you can have all of that stuff with you right here. As you can see, the TV, because I'm 6 foot plus tall, when I stand up, it feels like you kind of can't see the TV. But if I sort of take a knee, pseudo-simulating when you're sitting in a seat outside, which is a lot of S alliteration I didn't intend today, well, then you can see that it actually makes a lot of sense where it's located. It would be cool if it downward angled a little bit, but I feel like I'm a broken record talking about that in a lot of the RV industry. Now, to give you a quick look up there, because one of the things is this doesn't have the normal toy hauler power bed lift system because there's not enough room for it, but it does still have that handy loft up there. And I love the fact that there's households, there's USB outlets right around the corner, but also just, I call it the lights out switch, or whether you're the person in the loft or the parent putting the person in the loft away, you can just flick the switch and be like, hey, lights out, kids. For some reason, I sounded half like I was. I've been watching The Sopranos lately, and that New York Italian thing that people want to try to always emulate, it always ends up punching through on me after I watch that show. So anyway, sorry. Based on your input, take a look at this. They no longer have a fixed, like a one-piece ladder. They actually adopted a telescopic removable ladder made specifically for that loft area at your request, because people said, you know, they didn't exactly love it the way that it was. And I love that Brinkley answered the call. But we got to dive into this. There's a holy cow. So when I first walked out here, I couldn't figure out why this chunk of countertop had a notch taken out of it. And then I opened the Three Seasons patio screen wall and went, oh, that's why. Obviously, it could be a very handy like desk laptop space. We've got that kind of simulated. But right on the other side of this wall is the kitchen. So they decided, why don't we make these windows, you know, you could open them. So if you want to do some cooking inside and pass to the serving station outside on grill o'clock kind of days, because it's game day, bucket, go, boom, you can pass stuff straight through. They went a step further, though. You can actually completely remove those window panes if you want. You can still have blackout privacy back here if you are so inclined. Like if you want to leave the patio open at night, but you don't want your neighbors behind you to see what's on TV through the windows, you can still privatize this thing. But if you take the windows out, they actually, you see this tall vertical door? There's actually slots built in down there to give you a space to store the windows. They always think of everything like that anytime they come to these. Now, under these overhead cabinets, they also have some power outlets, and this is one of my only nitpicks on this entire RV. The outlets in the upper left corner, I kind of wish they were down a little bit. Like you see where that little decorative flower, I want to say vase, but vase is located. If you're in the country club, it's a vase. I sort of wish they were just down there. But again, I'm looking for trouble with a map and glasses, absolutely. Cracking open the cabinetry right here. The upper left cabinet is actually adjustable, and the stuff in there is removable, which I think is very, very cool. But take a look at the countertop on the left. It's almost like one of those power adjustable office desks. It can raise or lower quite a bit. So if you want it standard office desk height, you can make this a private office. If you want it countertop prep space height, you can do that. If you want to raise it up further because you want a standing desk, you can do that too. It's whatever you want it to be. That's its only problem is that it can only do everything. Now, we are looking at early prototype of this model. I've been advised that the giant drawer under this is probably going to change to a single wastebasket and then like a cabinet door over here. You're not going to lose anything. They're just going to kind of readjust it. And this is currently basically a wine cooler with the little radius shelves. They're actually getting some custom shelving units made to get installed in that, so it will be just a traditional shelved refrigerator. Easy little details to miss too as well, like the magnet holdback for the walk-through. Oh my gosh, that's a aggressive magnet right here. And the little drop-down coat racks. So you actually have a place, like even if it's dog leash latches, some extra little details back here that are kind of nice. They also give you multiple control units. You have one back here in the, I'm going to call it the wet bar patio, one in the living room, then one actually in the front pass-through basement area of the RV to control this just epic Rockford Fosgate system. Now, I don't have the kind of audio equipment on my camera that really does this sucker justice. What I will tell you is last time I was here, I cranked that sucker up to try to blow my ears out, and I could have died happy. It sounded so good. Now, for controls, you may have noticed how we had that little wave your hand, use the force Luke kind of sensor thing on a Bluetooth control panel back there. Now, it's got normal physical switches to run things like your patio awning, your garage awning back here, and some of the lighting in the garage, but your primary does all the things control switch would actually be located right up here. Now, what's kind of nice is like if you want to turn all the lights off and on this thing, you can open all your awnings, but they've also added some dimmer functions to a lot of these things that you can do right off a physical switch where you don't necessarily have to always go to the Bluetooth digital panel or pull out your phone, because anything you can do in that panel, you could also do on your phone. Now, let me back up a little bit, because I think that this, to me, is one of the coolest, most impressive views in this entire RV, almost more so than even just the whole patio thing, and I'm a sucker for those patios. You walk in the back door of the sucker, it just looks awesome. It is huge and so welcoming, and I don't care if you're standing over here in the kitchen or if you're in this giant wraparound U sofa, which we're going to talk about the different things that can do and an option you have for seating in a second. I don't care where it is. Everybody's got a good peek at the entertainment center in this sucker, and I love how they didn't mount it all the way up to the frickin' ceiling where you have to be Jeffrey Giraffe from Toys R Us to check that sucker out, although last I saw, I think Jeffrey Giraffe is, he's out of work, isn't he? He's not doing the best he's ever done. Opposing floor flush slides have always been a mainstay in Brinkley RVs ever since the very first Z3100 came out. I also really appreciate how in a lot of their models, pretty much wherever they could, they've always had a good focus on campside window coverage. Now, if you're really paying attention to this thing, you are looking at a wide body, full-on luxury fifth wheel that does not have a garage. It's got the patio wet bar, but not a garage. This is, in a sense, a slight sneak peek into what you might expect from Brinkley one day in what is rumored to be the Model R series, which will be a wide-body, high-profile luxury fifth wheel that is not a toy hauler. So if you look at a lot of the equipment and the trim level on this, it will give you an idea of maybe what to expect. That being said, I'm potentially teasing stuff way ahead of time. We probably won't see anything on a Model R until maybe over a year from now, but keep that in the back of your head. For now, this is the closest thing we get. Let's talk air conditioning. They've changed their air conditioners to GE profiles. Now, first of all, they're more energy efficient. Secondly, they're quieter. Third, every single air, and this has 3 of them, has a built-in heat pump on it. So this RV has triple electric heating built into the roof that runs through the ducting system, an electric space heating, quote, fireplace here in the living room, and holding tank heat pads, plus all the normal propane heating. So you've got dual heating systems that can actually work at the same time. And for maximum efficiency, each central air unit you're looking at only services the room in which it's located. So that air unit right there, its ducting applies only to the kitchen and living room. So you don't have inefficiencies, like if you're trying to cool the entire living room, the sun beating down on the roof isn't heating the air in the ducts before it gets out, not nearly to the severity that it could some other systems. The bedroom and bathroom have their own mini shared ducted system. The garage has its own dedicated mini ducted system. So you never have like bleed through of air from the air systems from zone A, B, or C. And all that is standard on these. That's just kind of the stuff they do. Something else that's standard is what you don't see, and that's like 1,000,000 miles worth of staples and a whole bunch of GIMP molding trim. It's they really pride themselves on fit and finish on these. Like if you look, you don't see where it looks like the machine gun stapler went to town running down the face of this. You don't see, like, chrome molding can look cool in an RV, but if we're being real, one of the reasons that it's usually found in RVs is to mask improper fit and finish. That's just kind of one of those things that's going on. Now, this is a company that has been fairly pet friendly kind of from their launch. So having things like the little, if your dog wants to scratch the door to go outside, screen guard on there, that's the thing that they've always done here. No floor vented heating or anything like that for easy cleaning. They do have a privacy shade in the big wide entry door, which, by the way, that entry door is a residential height entry door. You just have exceptionally tall slides in this thing. It's like a 7.5-foot tall slide or something crazy like that. So it just makes the whole space feel enormous. What would you think, though? Some motorhomes use a privacy shade built on the inside of the screen door instead of on the actual exterior door. I'm sure it costs a couple bucks more. Do you think that's money that would be worth to spend? Would you rather have a privacy screen built on the inside or in the actual exterior door? Leave me a note. Let me know. There's really no wrong answers here. Now, again, we're going to come back to this big, giant mega sofa that can only do just about everything. It doesn't have dedicated recliners on it, I'll tell you that. However, based on your feedback off the very similar G3950 video that I put out there, Brinkley has once again listened, stepped up, and answered the call. So this is a multi-function power extension party sofa. But if you want, you do have the option of getting an L-shaped sofa with quadruple recliners built in right from the factory. Now, the very furthest end of that L sofa, the very end recliner, that would basically be over here where this left-hand seating bench is, that actually has to be removed. Thankfully, it's on caster rollers, and it does have to be stored under the dinette over here for transit, but there's absolutely nothing stopping that from happening. So that is a new seating swaption option that you have available on these that they did not before. I also want to mention, this is a GE 8, I think it's 18 cubic foot. I could be wrong on that, apologies, but this is a residential refrigerator. However, it's Energy Star rated. And did you know that even most 12-volt compressor fridges are not Energy Star rated? Plus, this RV has 800 watts of solar, plus 200 amp hours of lithium battery standard, plus a 3,000 watts pure sine inverter, plus a DC to DC charger to keep that sucker running, and an onboard generator. I would be very curious, existing Brinkley Model G owners, have you encountered any issues keeping your refrigerator powered up? If you could please leave notes in the comment section for other folks to read. I'd be very curious to know what you're thinking there. Now, if we look up top, they've got the cool lighting fixtures. We've got the built-in ceiling speaker subwoofer kind of system going on this sucker. And again, the sound system sounds so good on this. And of course, we have a rain-sensing max air fan, but what big fifth wheel doesn't have that? You see those little antennas just peeking up over the top there? That is the TravelFi system. So this RV basically has a LTE like Wi-Fi extender repeater kind of system built right into it, like a signal access point. You can actually get I think it's a month-by-month subscription. It's been a while since I looked into it. But if you want to live more of the mobile lifestyle and stay connected, what it will do is you have a dedicated subscription to that specific service, but it will try to connect to any carrier cell tower that gives you the best reception and service you that way. Now, we're going to come back over here and get everything open in just a few minutes. But I want to dive into this right here. So we're going to come back to the dinette. The dinette really seats two people very comfortably. And for the most part, this is intended mostly as a couple's model. Yes, it has a loft sleeper. Chances are most people are going to use that as attic storage, though. Statistically speaking, anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Are you going to use it for sleeping or storage? Leave me a note. But they do still give you seating for four. Or you could kind of split things up. You could also use some of the chairs in the garage, or, well, I guess you call it garage, but the patio, the whatever, you could do whatever you want. Again, one of my only nitpicks is just kitchen outlet location is under the overhead cabinets. Now you got household and you've got USBs, but to be fair, they put such big cabinets in that it's also not terribly far away that I think it's really hard to reach or anything like that. I do like the larger GE profile, basically full appliance suite that they're using here. Convection microwave oven, big actual propane oven, and then of course we got the big farm sink over here to be able to, well, you could bathe a baby in that sucker without exaggeration. You could absolutely fit a kid in there if you were so inclined. Where do I want to begin you here? Let's actually start cracking everything open over here at the dinette. Because the thing is, we're looking at configuration 1, but it actually has like 4 different ways you can use it. So first of all, you can slide that open and have like an L desk. You can have the chairs kind of perpendicular to one another. You can pull that whole thing toward the middle and have like inward facing dining if you want some face-to-face time instead of digital FaceTime. Or you can do like split desk situation. But remember, you've always got the rear room for potential desk capacity on this, which is another thing that I think is very cool about this RV. You actually can use this like a 2-person office kind of arrangement. So if you are dual mobile professionals who can't be sitting on top of one another, but at night, you want to live together, this is an RV that can do that. Now, as we go through the kitchen, you've got that double pantry, but one of them is like a utility closet that actually has a power outlet built in the bottom. So if you want to take out those removable shelves and put in a stick vac, you could absolutely do that. Moving over to like the primary kitchen though, I love where they put their utensil holders on this. It's built into the underside of the overhead cabinets. My wife and I, when we remodel our kitchen at our house, we're seriously looking at doing stuff like that because it's just such a brilliant use of space. They really practice what I like to call no space gone to waste here. And in this model, they already include built into the island spaces for like dedicated waste baskets. But what's also kind of crazy is the fact that you could put big waste baskets under the sink as well, or just giant pots and pans or anything. It's one of those things you look at this RV and you almost want to say, yeah, it doesn't have that big of a kitchen really, but then you start going through it and all the different functions and features that it has, and you realize that they packed 10 pounds of sugar into a 5-pound kitchen on this. But the thing is, they weren't exactly done there. Like, it's awesome that you have that dovetailed drawer construction. Everything is either soft closed doors or drawers, magnetic holdbacks, and industry has drugged the industry forward. Brinkley has drugged the industry forward on a lot of that. So many brands have adopted things like magnet holdbacks now, just because they saw how nice it was in Brinkley's. It just works so smooth, so buttery smooth and well. They continue to pull things forward, but things like actual dovetail residential drawer construction in these kitchens, that's still not something that you find in the majority of the industry out there today. But we're still not done with all the various storage capacity. Like, as we get wrapped around back to where we first came in the living room here, you've got this gigantic party sofa, which, again, it's bossy in the room, but you can shrink it down if you want. But man, if you're going to like really plop yourself down or stretch out and take a nap on this thing, it's like one of the best seating arrangements for that kind of use. But there's still more storage. Now, this chunk up here, this is a little more obvious. This is easy to see. So cracking that open right there, no big deal. But if you start looking at the entertainment center itself, what's less obvious, unless you've seen one of these before, is how there's actually double door storage above and below it, each having 2 compartments. So 8 total like little compartment shelves, whatever, however you want to break it down, the mental math of this thing. There's a ton of storage even around the entertainment center that is very, very easily missed and overlooked. Now, I want to point something out. I always like to share good, bad, ugly with everything in between. Any window that opens for airflow has a screen. If you look at these windows very carefully, you see how the windows on the left have a little more of a gray tinge to them? That's because those are breeze-through windows. They have a tilt open function. They're what I call square flow windows. They don't have big boxy valances and lambrequins. They just run hardwood all the way around them. But you might notice slide end windows. These actually don't open for airflow. Brinkley didn't want them to tilt open, somebody leave it, and then close the slide and smash it. But any window that does open not only has the night privacy shade, also has a day shade as well. Now, if you want to kind of adjust these one way or the other, you can do that. But again, they do open and they do have bug screens. Now, when we look at the RV from the outside, you'll actually see where they run some decals over, or decals, as our Canadian friends call them, decals over the windows. But when you're inside the RV, I don't feel like you really notice it. Like if I point it out and you're like, oh, yeah, there's a little one up in the corner there. Like you start to notice it, but before I said anything, leave me a note. Did you actually pick that up? I'm kind of curious. Okay. So this Big On party couch here, I need to actually run you through some of the processes for this thing. So first of all, flip it around the other direction to give you a good look at it. It's just like a big, like, I don't know what, 6 easy adult seating party sofa. But if you don't want it so big, because, you know, like if you want to extend the dinette, it basically cuts the RV off, and that isn't for everybody. If you want to, it can shrink down to like a half size U lounge, or it can actually fold all the way together, which is actually the traveling function of it, to create a pretty solid guest sleeping space in case, Aunt Rita kicks Uncle Gary out for the evening. You could do that too. And remember, they do have that new L-shaped quadruple recliner sofa also available, but you can't mix and match. You either get the double telescopic power extension sofa we're looking at today, or you get the quadruple recliner. There's no like, well, I want a half and half. It's just, they can't do that. They can't fulfill that kind of request. You might notice, as we back up, it does have sliding pocket privacy door for the bathroom as well. And the space around the toilet is what I like to refer to as fairly fluffy friendly. This big wide body beauty, they really position the toilet intelligently, so that is not a problem whatsoever. And the trick with this bathroom is there's so many little things to look at that they kind of overlap with one another, which is not a complaint. I love that they didn't waste space. I love that they didn't just give us potential for wastebasket space. They actually built one in and included it. But something that's very easy to miss, I don't know if you saw, I actually bumped my hand on it. There's the handy little butt napkin roller over here next to the toilet. The thing is, that's magnetic and removable and movable. You can put it wherever you want. And intentionally built right into this wall is a magnetic removable access panel that is otherwise basically missed. I bet a lot of people have Model G fifth wheel toy haulers right now, literally don't know that they have this on their RV. Let's say, God forbid, there's ever some kind of electrical problem. They run all, like, their wiring harnesses from the roof to the floor and stuff all right here, so that it's easier to track down, it's easier to find, fix, and replace. And doing stuff like that is not a common feature in the RV industry. Now, there's also handy things like the Big XL Fajita Friday Fume Fight and Fart fan up here in the bathroom as well that nobody is ever disappointed with. And again, I told you how they have tons of things all going on at the same time. Just like we have in the kitchen, you have this huge dedicated storage array with all this removable shelving. But as I get you down here, where the door kind of looks like it would stop because it's right above the wastebasket, you notice it actually wraps all the way around the corner. Because the thing is, this whole thing, it's like the Energizer Bunny storage. It just keeps going and going and going. And you actually have twice what is initially obvious here. Both sides having those adjustable, removable shelves. I'm a big fan of stuff like that. Now, I'm shooting from memory here. I think they have something like a 79-inch upper deck height. So what is that? Like 6'7" floor to ceiling clearance in the upper deck. You can probably literally count on one hand the number of RVs that match or exceed that. There's almost nobody else. There is one brand, I think, that has a 7-foot floor to ceiling clearance, but almost nobody else is matching this. And they do have that I call it lightsaber lighting above the shower. So if you're bathing at night, you can actually see what you're doing. And here's a personal body sample of me getting in that thing, showing you how, yeah, I'm a little over 6 foot, and maybe I duck my head to get in the shower sliding door, but I have zero issues standing around in there. Now, the one thing you haven't seen in this one-piece fiberglass molded shower is a seat. But if you watch my factory video tour, you will see that it's actually prepped and ready. If you want to add one of those seats into the shower, you absolutely can do that. And if you look over here, sometimes people look at this and they kind of criticize Brinkley and say, I can't believe you didn't even give us a medicine cabinet. Well, check this out. They actually did. It's just kind of half built into the wall. Now, there's a shelf for the storage under the sink, which normally I kind of knock brands for doing because it means you can't have wastebasket space. But Brinkley still made that shelf removable. And remember, they already gave us a wastebasket space location. And I don't know if you could see it off that quick footage, but every single plumbing fixture in this RV has its own individual shutoff valve. So let's say, hypothetically, the cold water line that services this bathroom sink goes ace deuce on you. You could still use the hot water line, or you could just shut this whole sink off totally, because you can control everything individually and still have access and function to your kitchen sink, your outside shower, your main shower. You don't have to lose your entire trip because one thing went sideways on you. It's not awesome, but you can still limp through until you can get the thing serviced and you can make do. And little stuff like that to help keep you in the field and out of the shop. I love little details like that. The front bedroom up here, it's pretty much the same thing. They've been knocking out left, right, and center in their other Model G models, but that's not a complaint whatsoever. So you have a choice between the 70 by 80 king bed, which it's personal and it's subjective, but I don't think that mattress sucks. This is one of the only times in the RV industry I don't think I would personally worry about swapping a mattress out. Now, it could also be because I'm super fatigued and wicked dehydrated from 2 days of food poisoning. But maybe everything just feels very snuggly and comforting because I'm probably going to go home and take a nap after this. I'm beat even making this video, but you get the idea. Now, I'm not going to call these CPAP shelves. I'm not a CPAP user, but that doesn't look reasonably deep enough, but it's perfect for phones. I like the idea that I can have a phone near me with a king bed and still charging with either USB Type A or Type C plugs on both sides of the bed. Those, I think, are awful handy. And again, if you get the queen bed, instead of, the bed going all the way to the slide box sides, you can get a queen bed with side stands if you're so inclined. And if you're curious about power outlets for things like CPAP machines, I'll give you a look in just a second. They're actually easily reached, but located just over here under the bed in a slightly out of the way position. But even with the king bed, there's still decent room to be able to walk around here. And that's another thing that I like. Fifth wheels don't have the square foot restriction that travel trailers do, so they can have a lot bigger, deeper slides most of the time. So there's a lot more room to actually be able to get dressed just directly up here in this bedroom, you know. Now, sliding my backside around the bedroom here, the camera is going to start flickering a little bit, but I mentioned how, there's dimmer lighting. Well, I have a dedicated dimmer switch here in the bedroom too. Now, you may have noticed how it looks like the old VCR horizontal track bars jumped on screen. That's just a funky thing that my camera does. That doesn't happen in real life, obviously. Again, I don't think I mentioned this, but everything's a smart TV. Every TV you're seeing, garage, living room, bedroom, everything is a smart TV. That is actually slightly downward angled, so it's not nearly the neck wrecker at night that it otherwise could be. And across from it here, big breeze window and a lot of storage. However, they did something here that I really like that I'm seeing a lot of other brands start to copy. So a lot of brands started making the top of the dresser flip up for storage, but look at this. We have stuff on top of it right now. If that dresser top flips up, I have to take everything off of it. Well, Brinkley thought better, and alakazam, they make it slide open. It's not even the electric slide, it's just a manual slide. It just slides right open, easy access storage, big time dresser space down there. Now, oh geez, I didn't even talk about this back in the garage. So under that adjustable height desk thing in the garage, hidden below the rear wet bar kitchen countertop is actually another set of washer dryer hookups. You could put
a combo, or I think maybe a side-by-side washer dryer in the garage. I know combo for sure. I'm not entirely sure on side-by-side. So you could use the rear room like a mud room, like a laundry room, and leave your front closet up here fully maximum wide open for storage. Or you could put a combo or stackable washer dryer up here. It's really your choice in how you want to go about it. Now, one of the other major defining qualities of Brinkley Road Mode is that they have, since day one, built their bed slides capable of allowing you to use, occupy, and sleep in them while they're retracted. And that is one of those things that is still intensely uncommon, even in today's towable industry. The overwhelming vast majority of towable RVs are not made to sit in slide outs while they're retracted. However, as knowledge of that has grown and the public has kind of said, well, if I can't use it while it's closed, I won't buy it, manufacturers have started building accordingly. But it's a slow changeover process because some major things have to change. So to put it eloquently, we are nap and crap accessible up here in the front upper deck from the primary entry door. Now remember, you have that second door directly into the the wet bar area, so you can always get back there. And really, I think that will probably be your primary function. Now, because of what you have to do to close this sofa up for traveling, it's really not travel functional. It's such a big object, this big giant custom sofa that Brinkley came up with right here. It takes several steps to get it fully open or closed. Now, once you get to your destination, if you're going to stay there a while, it's really not that big of a deal. When we come around the corner here, though, if you really had to, you could do a little bit of a sideways travel trailer two-step. You could slip between the slide and the countertop, maybe a little bit to get over there to get to the fridge. But again, depending on what you load, where you load it, and how you travel, you may not need to. So like I said, the front door, well, that's for the nap and crap access. This thing back here is going to be travel stop snack-tastic. Now, I left the patio open. I think you realize you don't travel down the road with it like that. And depending on what you load in here, yeah, something could kind of get blocking in the way. But in theory, we have a sink and we have a refrigerator available to us back here. But here's another really cool detail. This RV has a 3,000 watt pure sine inverter that powers all the outlets except like the air conditioners and the microwave. So that fridge will be running when you're going down the road. So you always have, like a source for cold drinks, not to mention, as we're going to see in a minute, under the front pass-through, you have yet another little drinky drink kind of fridge where you could keep some things, depending on what you need to do. Now, I describe this as the smallest of the Model G fifth wheel toy haulers. So what kind of vehicle are we looking at to handle this thing? Well, despite its smaller size, immediately when I see 3,150 pounds of empty, dry hitch weight, that tells me I really feel like a 1-ton diesel dually and above is really where you want to be for a target tow vehicle on one of these. It's still a very big, very heavy built sucker. Like, it's not technically a drop frame, for instance, right here, but you notice how there's almost like, in a sense, a second frame, because you have these like underbelly mounted storage trays. We'll come back to those in just a second. First of all, you've got the keyless kind of deadbolt programmable system right here. So if you are going to go e-biking, kayaking, something like that, you can do so without accidentally dropping your keys somewhere on the trails. It's also an anti-slam door, it's friction hinge, but it does have a little magnet holdback. And if you're worried about flipping dirt into your RV when you flip the steps up, the good news is that you can actually flip the steps up to brush them off and empty them off before you flip the dirt into your RV, which is kind of handy. We've got the 12-volt is basically like one of those programmable fridge freezer things. And to give you a size reference, I put a can of my neon green poison nerd fuel in there because that's basically what I'm running on. I did not sleep well last night. Again, recovering from a nasty case of food poisoning. And this is now day 2 of pure recovery time. I'm functional, but I did not sleep terrifically. I'll spare you a lot of the details. These Moride slide-out cargo trays, you find these in like the bellies of diesel pushers. It's literally exactly the same thing that we're looking at right here. It's a big hunk of steel. A grown person can literally stand on that if they wanted to. You're not going to hurt anything. I don't recommend using it like a trampoline or a diving board for a swimming pool by any stretch of the imagination. You don't want to do the atomic leg drop off the top rope, brother.
but you get the idea. We've also got the flip up down kind of half and half cargo bulkhead wall right here. By default, it's got a pair of magnets that'll just grab and hold it up there, but it does also have a positive latch system. If you want to leave it up for transit, you can. And that's the thing, a lot of fifth wheel toy haulers, they have two things for front pass-through storage. They have jack and they have squat. And this design actually allows that to work pretty decently. Now you can see things, I love the fact that they use a lot of switches outside. So things like if you want to operate your slides from right out here, you can stand on the ground and line of sight those slide outs right here. And you've got hot cold water there. And in case you're curious, under there's that little pocket. The top side of that is actually where you also have some power outlets. So if you don't want to jam your wicked awesome Rockford Fosgate sound system, whose speakers, by the way, are mounted under the belly of this, they're like marine grade outside waterproof type speakers. So if you're towing in the rain, you're not going to short your sound system out. If you don't want to rock that thing out and blow away the neighbors, if you want to keep like a smaller little Bluetooth speaker by you for some reason, well, you could keep that powered, or just charge your phone outside. You could do that too. The nose cap of this, I always say it looks like a Decepticon. The very first prototype of this, they tried to just kind of black out and smoke out those Ahsoka Tano lightsaber glow accents, and it came out purple. I always thought it looked kind of cool. It looked very Megatron-y, in my opinion. Working our way over here. These, all of the Model G series are factory standard with the Gen Y hitch. But did you know you actually have a choice? I don't think I've ever shown this on camera before. You can get it with either a fifth wheel or gooseneck coupler, and it is one of the only instances in the entirety of the RV industry where you can get a factory-sponsored gooseneck coupler. Now, things like Gen Y hitches and frame flex conversations have been a very sensitive topic and on the tip of a lot of people's tongues lately. Brinkley actually did a ton of testing to make sure that using this hitch combination was not going to cause any issues because the thing that a lot of people don't realize, every manufacturer has their chassis made to their own individual specs, and one of the reasons this thing weighs so darn much is because they have a thicker, meatier chassis that can handle those extra stresses that a heavier duty shock dampening pin box can apply to it. Now you might notice down here we have 200 amp hours of factory standard lithium batteries with plenty of room. I'm eyeballing it. I think you could probably put about 400 more amp hours of the exact same style of battery right there and still fit. You've also got a 3,000 watt pure sine inverter on here, including a DC to DC charger. And if you don't know what that means, because this is the point where things start to sound very electrical engineering, basically you get vastly better function, charging those batteries off the vehicle while you're driving. And the reason that's really important is you have that big inverter and that Energy Star rated refrigerator. You can keep that thing running going down the road reliably with this. They, believe it or not, they did think of that. They also thought, you know what? People like things like reliable slide systems. So they chose to go with something that's not commonly found in the towable market over here. This is a slim rack system. It is basically straight in and out. But again, one of the cool benefits of that is that Brinkley's actually done the testing and found that as long as, again, you're not pogo sticking it on the inside, you can lay in, occupy, and use the bed to sleep in transit without damaging anything. And that's not something that every manufacturer typically allows you to do. It is something that's getting into the conversation of towable stuff, but I really give Brinkley credit. They were essentially like the first towable manufacturer to say, yeah, no, you can use this stuff when it's closed up, because they actually use the RVs that they build, and they said, hey, that's important. We got to make sure that we're building accordingly, which I love. Now, again, you've got sliding cargo trays 2 and 3 here. Number 3, I guess that I'm calling it as we're looking at it, just to give you an idea of the total size of it, this is the big telescopic removable ladder to get you up to the roof, and I'll give you a peek up there in just a minute, as well as the removable steps for that rear patio. Even though I don't think you personally need them on this model with that side patio door right there, they still include them, which I think is actually kind of cool. You've also got a powered cord reel. I never know how to phrase that, but it's a 12-volt powered in and out 50-amp reel, so you don't have to lug that heavy frickin' chunk of copper around all the time, but you can keep it safe behind lock and key so some crazy meth head doesn't go chopping copper off your RV and selling it for pennies on the dollar. And I know what I just said is not exactly flowery and pretty, but it is a sad reality of things, and I at least applaud Brinkley for recognizing that securing your very expensive stuff that is potentially camp critical is an important concept, so giving them credit there. Now, this is something that in the towable world, I don't know anyone else did it first. Maybe they weren't the first ones, but Brinkley having 12-volt actuated dump gate valves. You can open and close your gate valves right here. And if you notice, there was actually 2 switches for gray tanks. This RV does have 2 sewer outlets. I'll give you a look at those as we work our way around the RV. But the front outlet that's currently covered up by all these baggage doors, that one is basically specifically for the bathroom, black and gray. Then in the back, you have the interior kitchen and the, I guess we'll call it wet bar kitchen. Those all exhaust out of the back side of the RV. There's also sewer hose caddy tubes on this RV, so you don't have to get pink eye mixing your black tank stuff with your picnic stuff, which is nice. They are also there's a lot of like really subtle little things, little touches that they're putting in here. Like if you look at this, there's just a little bit of a touch and a texture. And if you look at it, it also kind of persists through the RV, but depending on how the light hits it, it sort of goes away. It looks like tire tracks kind of moving down that thing, doesn't it? But the cool thing behind that is it makes the RV sort of look and feel like it's moving, even when it's sitting still. So the RV always kind of has a little bit of a feeling of life to it. Now, something else this RV has is a quadruple power awning package, brother. You have all kinds of shaded patio space going space going on this thing. That's a combination of space and spice, and boy, I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. You are never going to be hurting for shady space on this RV, in my opinion. You've always got a little bit of Slim Shady action going on all the way around. Now, as you can also see, you've got that dedicated fourth awning over the rear patio. And again, everything is push-button power. It is easy. And setting up that patio is also very easy because this is the MORryde, I call it, I think it's even the name of it, but zero-G system, where basically it has its own built-in kind of tension drawbridge system. So one person with one arm can put that sucker up or down. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's also a lot safer. If you slip, you don't accidentally drop it on your head or crush your dog or something like that. Just little details like that make a big difference. And speaking of baby and puppy safety, they've also got the little baby puppy saver nets going on over here, the goalie nets. To make sure that nobody accidentally falls out of the thing while they're over here. Now, I whipped around the back side of this, so I've skipped over a bunch of things, so pardon me. Let's talk some base construction details. Like under the fiberglass skin, they're using Azdel. Now, both fiberglass and Azdel are essentially fiberglass and polypropylene mixed together. So as a result, because they're like materials, when this RV is exposed to extreme heat, like, say, Texas, Arizona sun, something like that, they expand and contract at the same rate. So if you have the skin and the substrate, which is the Azdel, the thing that the skin is glued to, if they expand and contract at the same rate, then you have greatly reduced the opportunity for stress delamination. Not all delamination is due to water intrusion. A lot of people don't realize that. I used to be the guy that checked out used RVs that people brought to us on trade. I got very good at identifying stuff like that, and stress delam is a very real thing. And eliminating heat expansion contraction is a huge part of it. That's one of the benefits of Azdel under that fiberglass. There is one change here that we're looking at, and we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, you've got Cooper 17.5-inch H-rated tires. That's some serious sneakers on this kid right here. That's better than a pair of LeBrons, if you ask me. But you're getting good speed ratings, more than this RV is rated for. You've also got more weight rating here than the RV could possibly be rated for. Very, very well-respected name. But if you're noticing those red shackles, that's a little bit new. They are always doing testing on stuff. And they're not always worried about what's the least expensive object we can put on these. And they swapped from a MORryde shackle system to a Dexter shackle system because they found that they were just getting better results. It was translating less violent energy into the RV. And one of the ways that they can test for that is they have the Jiggleator 9000 system in their factory construction process. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure you check out my factory video tour on that. I'm going to mention that 3 or 4 more times because there's so much that goes on under the skin that you can't see that is so critical to understanding the whole concept and build of it. There's also just a smart touch little details like this that I love. Like this has a power cord extension reel, you know, a household power cord extension reel, so that if you have tools or like a powered bubble machine or something you want to set up out here for the kids, you can do that. Like, some people don't like propane grills or griddles. Some people prefer electric. So you kind of have your choice. You could sort of do with it whatever you want to. Now, if you look all the way up top here above those handy 3 Seasons doors that we have open, you might notice how this RV actually has a factory standard rear view camera on it. If you had eagle eyes, you may have also noticed how this RV has factory standard side view cameras on it and tire pressure monitoring. This is a large Charles in Charge kind of rig. And they know that getting something like this down the road, it's a little more demanding and involved than something like a 20-foot travel trailer. So they have it equipped accordingly. And there's a lot of these things that are available aftermarket on a lot of RVs, but they're just standard here. Because they, you know, when you're looking at moving something like this, it makes a difference when you have it big time heavily equipped. Now with the ramp patio gate down, one of the things that you can't see that I found was very interesting on this, if I flip that up out of the way and give you a look, there's actually still a 2-inch receiver hitch with safety chain hooks and 4-way wiring harness mounted on the back side of this thing, which I found very interesting because most of the time when you're looking at a very large fifth wheel toy hauler, you're not going to be able to potentially do any doubles towing behind it in the states that allow for that. But this being one of their shorter models, if you wanted to bring with you something like a little enclosed trailer or a cargo pod or something extra like that, they still allow you that opportunity without forcing you into something that is like 10 feet longer with a dedicated garage. And if you like that, that's fine. That's called the G3950. They already build that. Now, this still has the onboard air compressor capable of rocking out 135 PSI, which is fantastic. Hold on, I'm a little confused here. When I first walked through this, I was initially advised this was not going to have a fueling station on this model specifically, but I'm looking at a prototype. Give me a second, let me go verify something. Apologies. Again, I advise that I'm not exactly 100% today, so I hope you appreciate it. Despite not feeling well, I'm trying to get down here and do my best for you. What we're looking at here, it doesn't have a fuel dispensing station because this isn't the kind of rig that's really made with the idea of big, large combustion engine toys or anything like that. What it does have, though, is a 30-gallon onboard fuel cell dedicated specifically to the generator. But what's cool is that is a dual fuel generator. So if you want to flip it over to propane, because maybe you run a little low on gas or you prefer one versus the other, you can do that. And what's cool, you can literally do it on the fly. There's like a little lever valve or something that you flip on the thing. While it's running, you could flip that sucker over and never have a break of service, which I think is really nice. And once again, I know my videos always run long, and then my Brinkley videos especially run even longer. But I do want to mention, today we are looking at optional slide awnings. There's also the option for dual pane windows. But there's been so much confusion on those dual pane windows, I'm hoping I can dispel some of that. These are not a hollow gas-charged window. Some people, I've seen in the owners group still insist that. I've verified several times, including today. It is a bonded glass window, which means 2 pieces of glass laminated together. I've got a whole video on what that actually means and differences in R values if you're curious about stuff like that. But I also want to get you up to the roof. And notice where the ladder mount is right next to that slide. Now, a couple things I noticed. When you're going up that ladder, I discovered it's not very barefoot friendly because, again, while we're over here in the Brinkley Digital Matrix Infinity infinity wall, where you lose all sense of depth and perception without any sort of reference, I'm walking around without shoes so I don't mark the thing up, because this is where they do their photography. So climbing up and down that without shoes, actually not super fun. The other thing that it kind of occurred to me, Brinkley RVs are built with walkable slide boxes. If you want to learn more about that, I have a factory video tour, both the Model Z fifth wheel plant and the Model G plant, that would be very relevant to what we're looking at today. You can absolutely walk on the top of their slide boxes, and these are literally built with the ladders intentionally positioned by a slide out to be used as a transitional step to get you off the ladder over to there, up to the roof a little more safely. So with the optional slide awnings, I was kind of worried, are you going to lose that? And what I discovered by actually doing it in person is no, not really. It's really not an issue. I was still able to use that to make the transition safer and easier. So I'm not mad about that. Now, this looks like the same roof sealant that everybody's using, but looks can be deceiving. This is the same kind of stuff that has been used on the roofing of like $250,000 diesel pushers for quite some time now. I believe its company's name is MS Polymer, or the thing is called MS Polymer. I never remember exactly which. I just remember the phrase MS Polymer is somewhere involved in there. But essentially, the sealant has, this is as close as you're going to get to a no maintenance roof, I think, in the towable RV industry for quite some time. I did not describe this just now as a no maintenance roof, nor do I believe any RV has a no maintenance roof, but this is as close as you're going to get. In theory, you kind of just want to get up here and eyeball it and maybe do a seasonal washing once or twice a year, and beyond that, you're kind of pretty much good, because you're using material that just doesn't break down, dry out, rot, and decay in the sun. Now, the 800 watts of solar that we're looking at here, that is factory standard as well. And you may have noticed, I first tipped this off in my factory video tour of the G plant, the new GE Profile air conditioner. One of the coolest things about those is, ironically, the heat that they provide. All three of these are in their own mini central ducted air system. So the garage has a mini ducted system that is separate from the kitchen living room, that is separate from the bedroom bathroom. And once again, if you want to have Superman X-ray vision and see below the skin to see what that means in person, check out my factory video tour of how these are put together. It is long, it's like an hour and a half long, but if you're going to spend this kind of money, I think you want to know what you're getting for it, and that's the best way I can imagine you learning to see what's under the skin. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I bet you didn't know you could suffer from both male pattern baldness and like bedhead bad hair days, but I'm living proof that can happen, and one day you could too. I don't know, it doesn't make sense when you say it out loud, but it felt right. It's like sometimes I put a question mark at the end of a sentence where one doesn't belong because it feels right, like that indicates my voice goes up at the end. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think about this thing. As I always do, I'll leave you a link in the video description where you can see where we have one of these at any of our stores, and the MSRP of that model, because we are not able to publish normal discounted sale pricing on models like this like we normally would. I just want you to know what you're going to run into and what to expect when you click through on that link to get to our website. We do not sell for MSRP. We're just not allowed to publish anything but that on our website. So please keep that very important distinction in mind. When you're ready, we're ready. And I'll also leave you links. I've mentioned the Brinkley Model G factory tour a bunch of times. I'll leave you links to some of the other Gs and Zs and factory tours and things that we've done down there if you want to learn more about this family. Or if you're a little more than curious and you're getting close to serious and you really want to see what's under the skin of one of these, check that factory tour out. Again, I know it's long, but if I was going to spend this kind of money, I would want to know exactly what I'm getting for it. And that's probably one of the best ways you could ever do that. So when you're ready, we're ready. And until next time, thanks again for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.